So I'm from GlaxoSmithKline. It is a big medical company with around 100,000 employees all over the world in 100 countries. Some of the products you might recognize, it's like Twinrix. It's when you travel abroad that you don't want to get like hepatitis A and B, toothpaste, headache medicine that you sometimes maybe take on a Sunday if you have like a hangover. And then we do a lot of other things. So these are more like the consumer side of it. So the consumer side stands for around 20% of the global sales for GlaxoSmithKline. So most of it, it's like Seretide, etc. If you have asthma, that you need to get like a prescription. So myself actually sit in Gothenburg in Sweden, but is employed by the UK. So this is the head office. I sit on the 7th floor there. If you go into London and travel from Heathrow on A4, this is one of the buildings that you go by, and it's like 20 minutes from the airport. Some more about the company. So our slogan is like, do more, feel better, and live longer. And in the 2 minutes that I will talk, we actually have an internal video which then pumps us up to really feel and be energized about the company. So some of the things that is running through then is like, during these 2 minutes that this video is running, then 3,840 people will get vaccines during 2 minutes from GlaxoSmithKline. We will prescribe 2,500 medicines. We will invest like 14,000 euros each second minute in trying to develop better drugs. And then the last one there says about 2.5 million people each morning take some kind of drug just to make sure that they feel better during the day. It could be heart medicines or whatever it is. Okay, a bit about myself. So 7 weeks ago, I actually started into a new role. But before that, I headed up all the people in the markets when it came to infrastructure and end user support. So that is why I have been asked to do a presentation around mobility. So that is one small piece of the whole component. So please feel free to ask me anything about how is it to work in like an international company, how is it to have staff in Australia or China or Japan or Chile or whatever, because until 7 weeks ago, that was actually my role. What I'm trying to do now is to create global shared business service centers. So I actually part of one of the things I did before as a part of my infrastructure role was to establish a center in Poland, Poznan, to remotely manage all the infrastructure for GSK remotely, and also in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, also to establish that a remote center to manage all the infrastructure from remote locations. So as a part of that work, then they asked me, could you please build up some kind of shared business service center? So that is for HR, finance, procurement, facility management, and IT, of course. So that is, if you see, perhaps not on that card there, but right now I have pretty red eyes, just working on the business case, did the first pass last week, and actually on Monday we will see if we get a go-ahead or not. So again, something you could talk more with me about later on if you would like. Yes? Yeah, okay. So the centers were internal. I would say regarding outsourcing, we have in India another location around in IT, 2,500 people, so it's quite a large extent. So 40% of our total operation is outsourced. I think we have got to a pretty good balance between insourced and outsourced. So 40% outsourced, 60% insourced. The ones that we actually established in Poland, Poznan, and in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, is insourced. We actually did an exercise even to take in some of the external things, because I think we all have gone on this journey that the pendulum turns hugely towards outsourcing, and then you think, shit, I did it a bit too much. So we actually moved some of the operation back into these global centers. So. Okay, good. Okay, so what will I address? And again, please excuse me if I don't have all the details, but I can definitely come back to you if you have very detailed questions around mobility. So level setting, why is mobility important? Mobility strategy and what are the key components of mobility? That is the first thing. And then I will go in more into mobility and outsourcing. So why would you review of outsourcing all or maybe some components of mobility? And then I will say a bit about what we have done and what are the areas that I think you could look into. So going in then to what have we done within GSK? We have fully giving access to like emails, calendar, intranets, and these kind of things. So that is the basics that everybody would like to have. But other things that we're doing is like ordering, traveling and expense systems, time reports, VTC integration. When I left, we actually had 20 pilots all over the world, everything from the sales force getting access to their information or doing slides, etc., from iPad or other tablets, and then into the warehouse. So could you get stock levels and things like that? So we had 20 concurrent pilots. And for the sales force, that was the main focus, looking into CRM, presentation, and other sales activities. I saw that I did this late yesterday, so sorry for the misspelling. An example is that we, when the consumer people go out to the shop, they take a picture of the shelves, then automatically that's get back to a center that automatically analyze the picture. And if we have an agreement and we have both, let's say 2 meters of a shelf, they will directly calculate if it is correct. And then they will also see if the bottle stands in the right location or the packages. And then the salesperson automatically gets back a report when they talk with the manager of that shop and says, we paid for 2 meters, we have 1.8. Why don't we have 20 centimeters more? Why did you put the highest profit lower down? It should be higher up. That is totally automated and one of the pilots that we are actually looking into. So that is around photo recognition and around the products. So why is mobility important? So the first one is around all the networking, etc. We have 3G now in Sweden. I think we have the most advanced at this point 4G development. The hardware is getting more and more powerful. It's almost like a PC. And yesterday I read about that Samsung is just coming out with a device with built-in projector. So in our case, going to a doctor and being able to put your mobile device on the table and then project it up on the wall directly could be a sales benefit if you just have 2 minutes time to quickly then interact with the doctor, as an example. The mobility software utilizes a function of the mobile. So GPS as an example with map functions and others that we use for our sales force to drive to destination A to B. And also some also calculates that, not in Sweden because it's not allowed, but in other locations, how effective is the sales force? How many visits have they done? That is something that you could build into these solutions. Then from a consumer market, like Google and Apple, etc., have started to build up and have built up total ecosystem. This is something that our users now would like to have with email, document management, whatever. And that is something we now as IT department have to live up to. Bill Gates, I think, said 15 years ago, information at your fingertips. This is the reality today. You can click directly on Facebook or whatever, and you get access to telephone numbers in one single click. Social collaboration. Facebook, Google+, Twitter, etc. is something that is built in, and I can just see with my children, they more communicate with each other even if they have dinner over the phone instead of talking with each other. So this is starting to be the new ways of living. And for the business, we need to think about building mobility into the core of our application, our landscape now. And we need to think about how can we utilize these kind of new devices, systems, etc., to increase the productivity. I talked about the mapping, etc. We can then, if you're working in a company with trucks, etc., optimize the traveling and enhance customer value, especially, I can take an example here. So we have an SMS service. So when someone have ordered a drug, then we say, if you would like, go into this site, read more about it, and then we will automatically each day send an SMS to you to take your drug. And it is, of course, for two reasons. One is, yeah, we would earn more money because they take the drug and don't just put them on the shelf. And secondly, it's for the patient itself. They don't have to constantly remind themselves that automatically gets an SMS. And we can't say no any longer as a part of the IT organization. This is the reality now. So do you have what it takes now to do all these things, or are there opportunities for outsourcing? Mobile strategy, quite a lot of text in here, and again I can also give this slide so you can read it through. The most important one is on the top there. If you don't develop a strategy before you actually move into the mobility space, you will have a lot of point solutions, and that is a place that you don't want to end up in. So that is very, very important. The other thing that I think is extremely important is to understand the business. Do they want to increase the sale, speed to market, increase the quality, or what is it? And then you need to build that and mirror that into the mobile strategy. Let's see which one. This one around important that you get the source code so you can give it to a new provider to continue to support that system. If you buy an off-the-shelf program that you don't do any changes to, that they normally don't accept it, by the way, for you to get the source code. But if you do small application, it is very important. And think about what should be a native app development if you need replication, etc., to have on the device, or what should be a web development. And now with HTML5, more and more, I would say, would maybe go to the web development. And then to think through, I think this last one here is around decommissioning. And I can talk openly about GSK. This is something we almost every time forget or don't bother about because it's 3 years down the road or whatever. But what happens when you need to decommission the system? You need to get the data, etc., out of it, and where do you host it, and so on. So that is a very important area to think through. Let's see, is there any other thing? No, I think that is that. On the infrastructure side, you need to think about what kind of devices you would like to support, operating systems, so which is the minimum level, etc. That is for your application to be able to work, but also from a security point of view, making sure that you have a pretty late version to address any attacks, etc., that you might be someone trying to get into your environment. Mobile device management I talked about. This is something we have invested a lot of time and effort into, because without that we cannot let people get into our corporate environment. If we cannot wipe it, or if we cannot automatically patch it, or if we cannot see what kind of systems that is running on the device, we don't think that we are secure enough. Then someone might get into the mobile phone and into our network without us knowing. Things you need to think about is like firewall, how is that addressed, antivirus, VPN, SSL, so all of that security aspects. Think about what is the mobile backend that you would like. We talked about the integration. So do you need to have some kind of integration and components for the mobile environment to easily feed in the data that you would need? Another one that we work pretty hard on, especially for the sales force, is around webcast and VTC. Think about the salesperson asking a question out at the doctor, and then automatically you get to face someone that is a specialist, can directly then talk on the system. So that would be very, very beneficial for us as a corporation. Integration like voice over IP, PBX, etc. SMS, MMS, I talked about before. Help desk and desk side, again, something you need to think about. How is this addressed from a mobility point of view? Other things you should think about, do you want to create, we talked about private clouds here before, so do you want to have like a specific private cloud for the mobile phones? It might be you want to build the infrastructure, separate app store, etc., that you have within the environment, but also maybe isolated so that they don't get into the rest of the environment if they are not allowed. Okay, and then I talk about the ecosystem. Okay. So now I get into the portion now then around the outsourcing and the components that I see. One thing just to highlight, and we talked about that around the rooming, a huge portion of the IT budget, I don't know how you manage it, but we have it within the IT budget, is actually the telecom cost. So what would you gain by outsourcing? Yeah, you would understand the total cost of ownership, because if you have clearly identified what is the responsibility of the supplier, then you know exactly the total cost of that service. Another thing is around, if you have not done a lot in this space, you may not want to invest a lot in applications and the infrastructure around it. So going directly to supplier, at least initially, will save you a lot around investment, especially on the infrastructure side. Resources. So do you have the capabilities in-house today, or do you need to get this information? Other things like you don't want everybody to be like a hacker doing a mobile application. You could free up these competences and then focus them on other things. For us, a key component is around 24/7. If you're a global corporation, this is key. We cannot, if you look into like the Muslim countries, the Saturdays and Sundays, they work and so on, it is very, very tricky. So that is something you need to address. And another thing is around spikes. So, and again, something some people have touched on before. So if you have a certain spikes in requirements or whatever, outsourcing could maybe then take out the spike, or then if you have everything within them, then they manage it. But you can then temporarily bring in outsourcing partners to smoothen that out. Tactical and strategically, quickly gain more ground, quicker time to market, better quality of application and the services, etc. So that is actually utilizing the knowledge that the outsourcing supplier already have in this space, if you don't have it insourced. And again, just mentioning around, you need to have a clear strategy so you know which direction you're going, and KPIs and SLAs. Okay. So now I tie back again, and we'll talk quickly then about what we have done and how I have seen how easy it is to outsource the different components. So the running person, it was rather easy and something you can do rather quickly. Walking, it was like, depending on how you want to do it, it might be hard or not. And then the snail is then, of course, it's much harder than to do it. Device and hardware management, so that is around having catalog and so on. That is an easy task. Regarding software, back to the things that I said, it's very tricky to keep track of this from an asset management point of view. I don't think that you would maybe do it better in-house, but it is an area that is very tricky to get control over. Employee portal and catalog, I think that is rather easy to get in place. But the ones that we have been struggling with is around installation, the profiling, etc., to make sure that when a user picks up the phone, it is tailored to that person's need. Shipment, of course, easy. Help desk user training, etc. It is rather easy, I would say. Rate plan optimization, that could be rather hard, because if people are moving positions, etc., in our environment, it's rather dynamic. So we have not been so successful in this place. MDM is something we have deployed, but it has been rather tricky to do it. Around recycling, collection, etc., it's something that you can do rather quickly with an outsourced provider. Telecom expense management, we have not done this on a full scale, but we have done it with quite a lot of markets. And I would say it was not as much hassle as I thought in the beginning. So this might be something that you would like to do. And normally, what the provider says, that he will cut your bill by 15%, whatever kind of contractual agreement that you would get by the supplier. And then they say, okay, so then I manage everything for you, and you will gain 50% savings. So that has been rather easy with the countries that we have done this with. Roaming, we talked about before. Getting access to email calendars, very easy. Integration into the core system is something we have been really struggling with. So something we have not been too successful with at this point, at least. App and web development. Why I write app development? If you just do a PowerPoint presentation, it's easy. But if you start to do replication of offline capabilities, it starts to be rather tricky. Application inventory and ecosystem, something that we have done pieces of, but not a full solution. And then around secure enterprise app store, again, something that we have done pieces around. So I'm almost done. Device and OS, you just need to write the standards and to follow the standards and making sure that you follow the market. MDM, I talked about, we have done successfully rollout. VPN and antivirus, rather easy. This one is tricky. We have talked about the interfaces and so on, and that is something we heavily work on. And I would say if you don't have this in place, you will have point solutions, so you need to put a lot of effort into this. Webcast and VTC, relatively easy. Integration into voice over IP, PBX, etc. is something we have been struggling with. SMS service we have in place. Help desk and desk side, again, we have in place. Building internal mobile cloud, we started to pilot a solution, and then around the ecosystem. So these two components at the bottom is rather hard. Okay. So this last one is around buy your own device. So we know that all the user wants to have it, and we need to make sure that we meet some of these expectations at least. Okay, that was my presentation around mobility. As I said, I don't have all the answers, but in general, where I would say that I am a bit stronger, if you would like to speak during the break, is around global international IT organizations, and then now with my current job, then making end-to-end processes, service line owner, global process owner, etc. How would that work, especially in corporations? That is pretty big, to make sure that the user truly get end-to-end services. Okay, that was my presentation. Any questions?